All right. Good morning. I'm going to call the meeting to order. First bill up will be House Bill 1118. Representative Draper.
Thank you very much. Good morning to the committee.
And just tell us which LC number you're
Yes, well, I just closed my
working off of.
All right, we are working off of LC 472979S.
Okay.
Sure, it's LC 472979S. One more time. All right, let's see. It is 481257S.
Okay.
There we go.
Go ahead.
Now we're all on the same
I'm giving you
page.
2 minutes to explain it. We're on a tight schedule. I got an Artemis rocket ready though.
I'm going to do it in less than 10 minutes, Chair.
Go.
Okay, so this bill, thank you very much to the committee. This bill is basically about telling our election workers that we support them and then following that up with very targeted common sense solutions to the problems that they are uniquely facing. Solutions that have been adopted by both red and blue states. Election officials are absolutely critical to our democracy. They ensure that our elections run smoothly and remain secure. They are very much our frontline democracy heroes, and they deserve not just our respect, but our active support. There are certainly many national statistics I could cite to you about the increase in threats and harassment to our election workers in recent years, but I'll just tell you about Georgia. Because across Georgia, we have absolutely seen the tensions rise, and our election workers have borne the brunt of that tension. They have been yelled at, they have been called liars, they have been called even more terrible names. We had an incident where a election worker who was picking up ballots was nearly driven off the road while they were transporting those ballots. They have been threatened with violence and even with death. And they have been harassed both on the job and at their homes. They have been swatted, meaning that police have shown up where they live, where their families are, putting not just them at risk, but their families too. And we have had open record request after open record request seeking their personal information, their home addresses, and their personal phone numbers. So the incidents have gone up in the last few years, and we believe that they will continue to rise as we enter into this 2024 election cycle. Today, I have brought with me via Zoom 2 of our finest election superintendents in Georgia. Chris Channel from Glynn County will be speaking with us, and Veronica Johnson of Lee County will be speaking with us, and they can expound on their personal experiences. I always feel that when we're talking about election policy, it's very important to hear from the folks who are on the front lines of this.
Representative Draper,
Yes.
I think you misheard me. I gave you 2 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
not
I thought you
10.
said 10. I said I was going to do it.
We've got several bills to get taken care of this morning.
Well, let me get to the meat of it.
And so I'll do this. I'll give you another 2 minutes, but after that, I'm going to have to stop you because we got to move on this morning.
I'm so sorry. I misunderstood. So I'll just get to the meat of the bill. Basically, what the bill does is 3 things. There's 3 sections. If you start with section 2 on page 2, what this does is there's already existing protections for poll officers in law, but it expands those protections that are already existing to other election workers and also to credentialed observers. Section 3 protects these individuals' personal information from disclosure. And then what section 1 does is it allows for a mechanism where election officials can report harassment and threats to the Secretary of State's office. And at the end of every year, that information is compiled into a report that is given to the General Assembly so that we can make further policy based on actual data, facts, and information. That is the bill.
All right. Questions from members of the committee? Judge Gunn.
This is my first look at your bill. Is there any criminal penalty provisions that you're putting in it?
So I'm not adding any criminal penalty provisions. Currently in section 2, you will see that anyone who threatens violence in a manner that would prevent a reasonable poll officer, and then I've added some other categories, from actually doing their duties, shall be guilty of a felony upon conviction thereof, and shall be sentenced to imprisonment of not less than 1, not less than 1, more than 10 years, and a fee not to exceed 100,000 or both.
Right. And that was an existing,
Correct.
and this was just identifying who else is covered by that. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Chairman Lever.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just had one question, and I didn't spot this yesterday, the 24-hour in section 1 that the Secretary of State, sort of the report they have to generate and the information they would gather on lines, well, the sentence starts on at the end of 18, but it says the Secretary of State in coordination with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation shall review each report within 24 hours of receipt.
Mhm.
Are they okay with that sort of short turnaround?
They do not oppose it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
They're aware and don't oppose.
Right. Any other questions? Okay. We've heard testimony on this before. I know we have some folks online. Just so the folks online know, you have 2 minutes to present. We're on a very tight schedule this morning with it being crossover day. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. We're going to go with Mr. Christopher Channel. Good morning.
Good morning. Let me get my video here. Well, I don't think I can get my video up. So I'll just try to talk to you real quick. At yesterday's subcommittee meeting, opposition to this bill stated that reported data did not support the protection already in place for voters being extended to poll workers, election officials, and poll watchers. It was stated that the number of reports were low and that there was a false narrative that was established about these threats and intimidation. I've talked with election officials across the state. It has happened, is happening, and is an issue that needs to be addressed before this November's general election. There could be a number of reasons you don't see higher numbers. One, there's no standard mechanism in place for poll watchers, poll workers, election officials to make these reports. This bill would establish that mechanism for reporting. Report was not made in writing. If I don't receive a written document on that incident happening, there's nothing to provide for an open records request or FOIA request. Number 3, Director Johnson from Lee County mentioned in yesterday's subcommittee hearing, a lot of these threats and complaints came from out of state and were therefore not taken as seriously as a local threat or a threat initiated from within the state. But the accumulation of threats, no matter how serious, can take a toll on someone mentally, emotionally, and physically. One of the opponents yesterday, who served as a poll watcher, stated that they felt threatened by an elector during an election. That is what this bill would help prevent. This bill would extend protections to certified poll watchers and observers. And finally, one presenter in opposition yesterday, I believe, was trying to say that this bill would infringe on their speech. Their threats, intimidation, obstruction of electoral processes against electors, poll workers, election officials, and poll watchers are not and never should be considered free speech. Thank you for your time and consideration. I encourage you to pass this bill onto the House floor so that protections already offered to voters can be extended to poll watchers and poll workers. Thank you.
All right, good job. You had about 6 seconds to spare. Thank you. Very, very aware. So anyhow, number 5. Is this a question for the
It's
speaker?
the question.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the-
go ahead.
No, not for the speaker, for the author.
Okay, all right, hold on, I'll come right back to you. Any questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you, sir. Have a good rest of your day. All right, number 5, Representative Roberts.
Isn't it true that we're hearing from folks that they're struggling to get poll workers because of these stories?
Poll workers and staff at election offices, the turnover is a big problem.
So going into this large election that we've got coming up, I think this is very important legislation. I appreciate you bringing it.
All right, I have one other online. Miss Veronica Johnson. I'll give you 2 minutes. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm not going to take very long at all because I think the author of the bill has explained it very well, and Mr. Channel did a great job. But I just wanted to reiterate the fact that most of our poll workers are local people. I'm in a small jurisdiction in Lee County and I've been here for 24 years, but most of our poll workers are local. And although a lot of these threats are coming from out of state, I really don't worry so much locally, but I do worry about the ones that are coming from out of state, and they are eroding our ability to recruit poll workers and retain poll workers, and they harm our ability to increase the institutional knowledge that every county in Georgia works to build with our poll workers. So it just makes it harder to recruit and retain. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me at this point with everything else that's already been said. So thank you.
All right, thank you. I want to personally thank you. When I first started voting, I had probably 3 of my great grandfather's sisters that were poll workers at my poll location, and I'm down to none now. So I appreciate what you do.
Thank
Any
you very much.
questions? All right, seeing none, thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Peter Simmons. Good to see you again. Just tell us who you're with, and I'll give you 2 minutes.
Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, my name is Peter Simmons. I am the Georgia State Policy Strategist for Protect Democracy. We are a nonprofit who focus on defeating authoritarianism, defending democratic norms, and protecting the rule of law. We are reiterating today how much we support this bill because the people who make free and fair elections possible are being threatened. The threats that they face are real, regular, and deadly serious. We've had people who have had to leave their homes, engage police surveillance, and live in fear or quit. As Representative Draper has said, Representative Draper has said, we're having a problem getting election workers all over the state and all over the country, to be frank. This bill will create the conditions necessary for us to support our elections and protect our republic. Happy to take any questions.
Good job. That was 45 seconds. We're rolling. All right. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate it. All right. Next up, we will have Miss Lena, and I apologize. My command of the King's English is not the best. If you'll pronounce that for
I
me.
will. Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Lana Goitia Paz. I'm the Georgia Campaign Manager with All Voting is Local. We are a nonpartisan organization that advocates for policies that improve voter access and help aids in smooth elections. As we gather here today, it is imperative that we recognize the importance of protecting the individuals who serve as the backbone of our elections, our election workers. These dedicated individuals play a vital role in ensuring that our elections are conducted smoothly and fairly. However, recent events have highlighted a disturbing trend of violence and intimidation directed towards these individuals, threatening their very safety. This bill also covers credentialed poll workers, providing these individuals additional protection and encouraging their participation in the electoral process. House Bill 1118 sends a clear message that such intimidative behavior will not be tolerated in our democratic society. By passing this bill, this body makes a statement to those who seek to disrupt our elections that threats of violence will not be tolerated in our state. This is not just a matter of safety. This is a matter of election integrity. It is imperative that we take decisive action to ensure public trust and confidence in our democracy, and a crucial component of that is making sure that those that conduct our elections are protected. Every eligible voter deserves the right to cast their ballot freely and without fear, and every election worker should be able to carry out their duties without the risk of harm or coercion. I urge each of you to support this bill and let us send a strong message that violence and intimidation have no place in our elections, and reaffirm our commitment to our poll workers and election workers across the state. Thank you.
Okay, you have no questions. Thank you. Next up, I'll go with Rachel Lestinger. Good morning. Just introduce yourself to us and tell us who you're with.
Good morning, everyone. I am Rachel Lastinger. I'm the Associate Director of the Voter Access Project with the ACLU of Georgia. The Voter Access Project works to ensure voting is easy and accessible for all Georgians. And I'm here today to support House Bill 1118. Sadly, it has become increasingly necessary for legislation to exist that works to protect election workers from the increasing threats and harassment. And we've already heard a lot today about those threats and harassment, and I appreciate our election officials who are willing to share their experiences. I myself have heard many stories from election officials and how these threats and harassments have affected their lives and the lives of their families. And I can tell you they are very real and they are very heartbreaking. And there's been many reports done that have showed how big this issue has become. And we know that, according to one report, nearly 3 in 4 feel that threats against election officials have increased in recent years, and more than half are worried about the safety of their colleagues. But most legislation which seeks to address this issue is simply reactive, while HB 1118 seeks to be proactive. In Section 3, the bill introduces greater protection of personally identifiable information for poll officers, election workers, and credentialed observers. Many election workers have their home addresses and phone numbers shared on the internet and have received threats directed at them and their families. The best solution is to allow them to request the removal of their personally identifiable information from databases, which is being proposed in this bill. So by passing this bill, we will join a growing number of states that have already accomplished this through legislation, such as Colorado and Arizona. So let's work to let our Georgia election officials know that, their government officials are taking steps to support them and working to protect them. Thank you.
You finished in 45 seconds. Everybody just needs to take note at how good y'all are doing this morning. So y'all make for a happy chair and a happy committee. Okay, I believe that's all we have signed up. And I think regain my quorum. All right. What say the committee? All right, motion second do pass. Vice Chairman Reeves.
Mr. Chairman, I do have an amendment and then wanted to add in support of the bill. Colleague from Cherokee County mentioned there was a problem there that this bill would help with. So we've literally got testimony north, south, east, and west now. Here's the amendment. In Shakespeare, there was a line, kill all the lawyers. That's what tyranny does. I think having lawyers involved in duking out the elections and instituting rights, advocating for rights is key. So House Bill 1376, written by a very knowledgeable Chairman Tyler Paul Smith, joined by Representative Seabaugh, Scoggins, and Jason Ridley. He's the one with the hat, not the beard. It is a one-line bill. On Code Section 21230, it adds an additional subsection: no attorney filing a challenge on behalf of an elector pursuant to subsection A of this code section shall be liable at law or equity for filing such challenge, except in the event of such attorney's gross negligence, willful or wanton misconduct, or malfeasance. That is my amendment from House Bill 1376 onto this one. I appreciate Representative Draper's bill and propose that amendment.
Okay. I'm glad I wore my boots because that got deep on that. As far as a compliment. It is indeed. All right. Questions about the amendment? All right. Looks like you're getting another astronaut potentially on this one, Representative. All right. Number 8, Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt, could you read that one more time for me, please?
1376, code section 21-2. Okay, you got it. All right.
All right. Okay, you hear the Reeves amendment. What say the committee? All right, moving to second. All those in favor of the Reeves amendment, adding House Bill 1376 on to this as amendment, say aye. All those opposed say no. All right, it's on. Any discussion on the bill as a whole? I'll just note there's no partisan language in that one. That applies to both, whether the RNC or the DNC's trying to attack a lawyer that's just doing their job to make sure they uphold the Constitution. This would be a protection for them and not incur liability on their part for just being a practitioner of the noble profession and advocacy, albeit zealous or however zealous it is that they won't be subject to political persecution. So, all right, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the passage of the bill as amended, say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Congratulations, you're on the rules.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving right along. House Bill 1110, 1110. Representative Crawford. We just want to know, how many miles did you run this morning in preparation? Because as we understand it, you are quite the runner.
None this morning, maybe some tomorrow morning though. Thank you.
Okay, tell us what you got and what LC number.
Before you, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you is House Bill 1110, and I'm working from LC number 48,
All right, quiet down.
LC number 481258S.
You got 2 minutes.
All right. The proposed bill seeks to amend OCGA 16595, the criminal code section for the offense of violation of a family violence protective order, to insert language that would also establish the offense of a violation of dating violence protective order. Right now, OCGA 1913A6 references the criminal code section, but at the time that the dating violence bill was drafted and enacted, the criminal code section was not simultaneously amended. So this is mainly just a cleanup bill, mainly just to tie up loose ends. It doesn't create a new definition for really anything. It's just, again, making sure that the code section is properly cross-referenced.
45 seconds, Representative. I am very impressed. Thank you. All right. Any questions for Representative Crawford? It's always good to see another attorney bringing legislation in
Thank
this committee. We don't discriminate on whether you're a lawyer or not,
Well,
but it's always good to have another member of the profession with us. All right.
thank you.
You've heard the bill. Yes, Judge Gunner.
I'm sorry, I do have a question. On line 20, the 12 months, any reason for that time period?
Well, that was, we literally took the definition that was already established in code. So I didn't change anything
Okay.
at all. That's a definition that's already established under dating violence.
Okay, because I can see where they might have gone to jail for that period of time and then come out. And
And I understand that I didn't change any definition at all.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Number 14, Chairman Leverett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to address Judge Gunner's comment, because we heard this in subcommittee yesterday, the representative taken an existing concept that just was, I think, through inadvertence omitted from this statute, but he's borrowing it from some other existing statute. So that's why the language is worded that way. I think it's a great bill, and I'm prepared to make a motion at the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman.
Uniformity in the code. What a novel concept. All right. Any other questions? Recognize you for a motion, Chairman Leverett. I got a move, do pass second. All right. I don't think I had anybody signed up on that. Or yes, no, I didn't. Okay. Sorry. All right. All those in favor of the passage of the bill, say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Congratulations, you're on the rules.
Thank you.
If your bill passes here today, just walk back here like Representative Draper is doing. She took the right initiative, and we'll get this signed for you. Man. All right.
Overly prepared.
All right. Moving right along. Let's get House Bill 1367, Representative Love. All right. Tell us which LC number you got there.
70093.
Outstanding. You got 2 minutes.
Not even an S behind it. Some of you may know, I'm a 26-year survivor of sexual assault myself, and learning what I can do for sexual assault centers and sexual assault nurse examiners in my role as a representative. I've visited 9 of our 28 sexual assault centers throughout the state, and I asked them, what can I do for you here at the House? Besides, just asking for more money. They said there's a bit of a lack of clarity around the law surrounding forensic medical exams, or FMEs, and whether non-fatal strangulation exams are included under there for compensation. So that's the part of the law that we're just trying to get some clarity for, to let sane nurses who are trained to do these specialized non-fatal strangulation exams to get some compensation for that.
55 seconds. That's pretty good. Number 14.
And I'm not even a lawyer.
Chairman Leverett.
If I could, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We heard this in subcommittee also. I think
Yes,
it's a
thank
great
you.
Bill. This is a commission that's already set up to provide compensation to victims. And the purpose of this is just to make this an expense that can be paid from that fund.
Yes.
And I didn't realize, I would have thought from strangulation, it would be pretty easy to see, but apparently it sometimes has no
Correct.
exterior visible evidence. But there are
Correct.
some serious problems that it can lead to. And when she says sane nurse, she's not indicating we don't want ones that are crazy.
Right, yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
acronym.
Yeah, sexual assault nurse examiner.
And I'm also prepared to make a motion, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if there's some folks who want to hear this today or want to speak to it, but I'm prepared to make a motion when the chair deems it appropriate.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Let's see, I have, Ms. Dillard. You want to testify? I'll give you 2 minutes. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. All right. 1360. Oh, Miss Danielle Lewis. With the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. I've got the acronym down, Jay.
I mean, let me tell you.
And I want to take this moment. We try to recognize former members, Representative Emeritus Jay Neal. We're always honored to have you with us. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
But Miss Lewis, you know, she's one that's here to testify, and well, you know, we like her a whole lot too. So just saying, go ahead, Miss Lewis.
Hello, my name is Danielle Lewis. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Danielle Lewis, and I am the Communications Director and Legislative Liaison for the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, affectionately known as CJCC. We first want to acknowledge Representative Lupton for starting this important conversation. Right now, I think there's been a lot of miscommunication about this because right now the pathway already exists for payment for SANEs who provide a strangulation exam to get paid through the Victims' Compensation Program. We would be more than happy to work with Representative Lupton. We feel that this can be solved administratively and through conversations and training rather than a statutory change because the pathway to payment currently exists for strangulation exams to be paid not through the Forensic Medical Examination Program, but through the Victims' Compensation Program. And if payment goes through the Victims' Compensation Program, as with the FME program, it is a pathway to where victims and service providers can be paid. I think part of the misconception with the Forensic Medical Examination program was them thinking that service providers would not be reimbursed, when in actuality, there is a $15,000 cap for medical expenses that could be, and a strangulation exam could be covered under the Victims' Compensation Program. So this pathway currently already exists.
Okay.
And like I said, there's been some confusion about that. I don't know who was here yesterday. You were here yesterday. Like my expert that I had here today wasn't aware of this. So there's been some confusion between CJCC and some of the, oh my God, I love your face. about what's reimbursable and what's not. I love it. I mean, I'm here for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this, Representative.
Go ahead.
So in light of this information, what do you propose?
I am more than happy to work with CJCC to see if we can get this done administratively. If not, then we'll probably see this again.
Okay. I'll be a little bit more direct in my line of questioning.
Yeah.
Then. Do you want to go forward with the bill in light of this information?
Yes. Oh my God, it's like the Price is Right in here. Where everybody's like, no, it's $1. $1.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm taking your
Okay.
time.
Yes, Ms.
We
Lewis.
would say one more thing. We are concerned if it goes through in the direction that Representative Lumpkin is projecting about the possible fiscal impact that this would have to our agency, to the Crime Victims Emergency Fund. Representative Lupton had reached out to us yesterday for numbers because this is a fairly new Because it's a fairly new conversation, there aren't any numbers currently available. And with the quick turnaround time, we would ask that she would add a budgetary fiscal note.
Okay, all right. Make note of that. Representative Hong.
Thank you, Chairman. I need to do better about not showing so much on my face.
I do it.
And I am a little confused because of the testimony that we heard yesterday versus what we're hearing today. What do you believe is the confusion here, and why, for example, the nurse that was here yesterday did not believe that this was compensatable, can be compensated?
There you go.
I definitely understand the confusion. I wasn't able to attend yesterday, but I was watching the hearing. I think, especially I'm familiar with Ms. Williams, she tends to build through the forensic medical examination program. And last year we paid about $3 million in payment for forensic medical examinations. And for that program, we do not have strangulations as a category. So if you are seeking payment specifically from the forensic medical examination program, then currently it doesn't exist under that program. However, payment for the strangulation exams does exist under the Victims Compensation Program. So we have worked with our SANEs because we have the statewide SANE coordinator, Sarah Peterson, is housed under CJCC. And we have worked with our SANEs to understand that after they provide a forensic medical examination, that the Victims Compensation Program is available to victims, because whereas the FME program and the forensic medical examination program and the forensic interview programs pay service providers directly, the Victims Compensation Program helps the victim and the service provider. And in addition to providing payment for the service provider, it also has additional things for the victim, to include mental health counseling. If they are out because of lost wages or things of that nature, then they could also tap into those resources. So I think that is the primary confusion. Is one, she has just tried to build under the forensic medical examination program. And right now, also another thing is right now that only addresses sexual assault victims. The Victims Compensation Program, which is where the conversation was headed yesterday, currently helps domestic violence victims as well. So there is a pathway to help sexual assault victims and domestic violence victims currently by having that exam for strangulations billed under the Victims Compensation Program.
And if I can ask one more question, and the bill that Representative Lumpton has proposed is under the victim compensation. Is that your understanding?
I believe she cited the Crime Victims Emergency Fund and the Victims Compensation Program. And the Victims Compensation Program. So the Forensic Medical Examination Program is housed under the Victims Compensation Program, but there are two different programs. There are two different processes. Currently, we are capped at $1,000 for forensic medical examinations. Only 4 states currently do this. And based on the estimations that we have from the other states, it looks like the strangulations exams are around $1,400, right? Our program currently caps at $1,000. So even right now, and again, this is such a new conversation, we can't give precise estimates, which is why, again, we weren't able to give Representative Lupton numbers yesterday. But under the Victims Compensation Program, even say if that $1,400 was accurate, we have a place where the providers could get paid at that point. There are procedural things we would have to get in place. There are, again, it's so relatively new. We just don't know the fiscal impact that it would have. And also we firmly believe it's an education issue. When the examples that we have been given so far about how they would access the strangulation exams clearly exist, the pathway clearly exists within the Victims Compensation Program, but not within the FME program. So I think that's some of the confusion. But being that we have our SANE coordinator and we work with these SANE nurses, I think that education and training would help them to understand the resources that are currently available to them.
Okay, I'm gonna ask this question. Y'all are both welcome to chime in. I really want the representatives as well, obviously. Would you be open to an amendment that, is along the line of subjecting this to a line item appropriation? Just to give you all the time to talk about what these numbers look like and how much money we would need to put in the budget for this. Would you be open to
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Representative Miller.
Well, I just had a question about victims' compensation. Is there a cap on the amount of money that each victim would have access to for their case?
Yes, there is a $25,000 per victim per victimization cap. For medical expenses, it's $15,000. For mental health counseling, it's $3,000. For lost wages, it's $10,000. For loss of support, it is $10,000. For crime scene sanitization, it is $1,500. And for funeral expenses, it is $6,000. Now, if you do the math real quick, that is over $25,000.
Mhm.
So the cap is per victim, per victimization, that is the $25,000 cap.
Okay, thank you.
And I will say that generally they do not meet the cap. Sometimes they do, but most of the time they do not.
This is the chair's request. Could y'all email that? That's good information to know. Could y'all email that to members of the
Absolutely.
committee? We'll make sure that, they get that. So, all right. Thank y'all. I believe that, Ms. Lewis, you were the only one signed up to speak to this.
Thank you for your time.
Shoot you.
Thank you so much.
What say members of the committee? All right, gotta move to pass in a second. Chair will offer the amendment at the end of the bill to add language that says upon that this act, this will be on line 25 actually. This act shall become effective where it says on July 1st, 2024, I would strike on July 1st, 2024. And instead of, it would become effective upon a line item appropriation and an appropriation bill. Got to move in a second. All those in favor of the Smith Amendment, say aye. All those opposed, say no. All right, any other amendments? All right, I'll call, yes, number 4, Representative Neal.
I do have a
Morning.
question. Good morning. I do have a question. So I just want to make sure that because we didn't put a date on it, at whatever point it's funded, it will be active.
That is my understanding.
Perfect. Good amendment. Thank you, sir.
Little legislative authority there for you. All right, I'm gonna call the question. All those in favor of the passage of the bill with the Smith Amendment, say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Congratulations, you're on the rules. Give me a form and I'll sign it.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on to the last bill this morning, House Bill 1136. And you will see there is a substitute in your folder. And it would be LC 481260S. Is that what you have in front of you, Representative?
Yes.
Okay, good. We worked on this, and this is a product that we feel as if will really harness the intent of what our bill author has worked for so many years on. I know you've worked on it since I've been here, so I want to commend you for that. But if you want to just go ahead and present it, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you, committee, and thank you, Chairman Harper, Tyler Smith.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's early. My alarm clock did not go off. Thank you for your help on the bill. I appreciate the work that attorneys put into it. I am a victim and I'm here representing victims in Georgia. So I think that the legal perspective is important. Everyone here pretty much knows what stalking is. During subcommittee, we had testimony about it. The bill has been changed somewhat. The only change here from subcommittee is it keeps the third party indirect contact, and I would love your favorable support.
That may have been the shortest. I mean, you're right there at 43 seconds. I mean, that's quick. All right. Questions from members of the committee? Number 14,
So,
Chairman Lee.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just quickly, so just to make sure I understand, this would criminalize the conduct of the stalker that he tried to initiate through a third party.
Absolutely.
So it wouldn't be the third party necessarily, it would be the stalker that could be held criminally responsible for initiating that contact.
Yes.
Phone a friend. This would, by the way, this could, through accomplice liability, this could be achieved as well. So you could also, charge the third party that was in on the, stalking, as it were.
Through the accomplice statute.
That's true. Yes, accomplice
you, Mr.
liability.
Chairman.
Yeah, party to a crime, excuse me.
There we
I think that's how the code would.
And I could give examples if you
Would,
like.
No,
title.
I know the examples. I just want to make sure I understood the legal impact.
Sure, sure. And I spoke with PAC about that briefly as far as that other individual that could be charged along with this. And looking at the bill itself, we felt as if what the author was trying to accomplish was to try to define the indirect contact. And so that's reflected within the substitute that you see here before you.
Thank you.
Representative or Secretary Crowe.
Thank you. Sharing the mic over here. Section 3, a couple of places on page line 66 and line 70. For family violence reports is a specific form that's used for family violence incident reports. And this adds, it says a full and complete description of the type. I was just curious why we're making that change there. And are you talking about the written narrative of the report?
Well, so you know what happens when a victim reports stalking, if they call 911 and a police officer comes out, a lot of times it is just reported as an incident. It is not actually reported as a stalking event. And sometimes on that report, there's no information. It's just that the person called and said someone was stalking them, even though the victim has given them full details of what has occurred.
Okay. So just trying to improve the content of the report, make
Yes.
fuller, more, comprehensiveness. The lawyer said comprehensiveness, and that sounds good.
Yeah, so if the police officer chooses not to make it a actual police report or an investigation, at least on this form, all the details are there.
Well, this form is a police report. Like this form, this specific form, it says on here, this is a specific type of incident report. If they fill this form out at all, that's a report. It's just using the family violence incident report instead of the standard incident report. It's a specific form, but it's still an incident report. If they do this form at all, that's reporting it. So I just didn't know because it already had in here the type of police action taken, disposition of the case and that sort of thing. It's just a full and complete description of the types, a little subjective, and I didn't know what we were trying to get at there.
Dollar friend.
I don't disagree that it is very subjective, but I think that that's a step in the right direction. I don't know that we could, I would say this, I don't know if we could we couldn't prepare for every hypothetical situation we would see. And so I think that language, although subjective, that I think it would impress upon those making the report to make it as full and complete as could be. And I think my analyst has some information for us on that.
Representative Crowe, this is actually from a couple of years of research. A couple of years ago, I worked with Representative Maynard on a few things and looked at nationwide, basically how stalking was being prosecuted and holes they were finding across the country. In particular, they were finding that certain incidents weren't being recorded on police reports accurately and fully. And so when victims were trying to make the case that there was a pattern of conduct going on, they were having a hard time actually lining it up because they didn't have those incidents fully reported. So the intent here is just to keep that and make sure these reports are accurately reflecting that so that the conduct can be accurately or, properly put in perspective in the pattern.
All right. Miss Diller, do you want to come speak to us? I'll give you 2 minutes. And just tell us who you're with.
Sure. My name is Karina Dillard, and I am with the Georgia Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and we're really appreciative for Representative Maynard bringing this to our attention. Stalking is one of those offenses that is probably one of the most fatal. When you think about domestic violence and sexual assault, stalking often accompanies those offenses, and the prevalence of stalking in our state is higher than you may realize. I was sad to see the stalking in the home piece go away in the subcommittee, but I understand that we need some more education around it. But the coalition absolutely supports Representative Maynard's bill and happy to answer any questions.
All right, seeing no questions. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Okay, all right. Gactel and Pack, do y'all want to weigh in on this at all? I'll give you 2 minutes. I know there's a sub that's in front of you, but yeah, come on. Okay, all right. Okay. Robert, you good? Okay. All right. What's the will of the committee? All right, move to pass second. Any amendments? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor and passage of the bill, say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Congratulations, you're on the rules. We're adjourned. Like that. I'm gonna break it.